In a Fox 23 exclusive, we've uncovered financial records showing how much money Tulsa County has spent on an iconic ride that is now set to be demolished. We told you last week when Expo Square announced it will not operate its Skyride anymore. Fox 23's Spencer Humphrey breaks down how taxpayer money was spent on that ride over the last 12 years.
The rumors that the historic Skyride here at Tulsa Expo Square may soon just be a distant memory all started with an ominous post on an anonymous website. That is, until I started asking questions. That website, TulsaSkyride.com, is a fan page devoted to recording the history of the ride. Last week, it made a post claiming to have inside information that the Skyride was in imminent danger of demolition. It was only after Fox 23 started asking questions about it that Expo Square officials confirmed they do plan to sell it and likely have it demolished in the coming weeks. They cited finances as the reason the ride was no longer viable to operate. But I did some digging and found as recently as 2018, Expo Square was still investing hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars in enhancements to the ride.
It makes my blood boil. That's unbelievable that you're just going to give up on it.
I introduced you to Scotty Martin last week, who is working on a documentary about the former Bell's amusement park that the Skyride was once a part of. But since the county purchased the ride from Bell's in 2007, Martin has had a financial interest in it too.
I'm a Tulsa County taxpayer, yes.
Those financial records show since 2007, Expo Square spent nearly $1.8 million taxpayer dollars for enhancements and upkeep. Martin doesn't understand why the county would spend all that money on upgrading the ride only for it to be permanently closed.
What a waste to take all of that money and just crumble it up.
It went to things like motor and control upgrades, a sound system, upgraded roofs, and nearly $400,000 to DMC Tulsa, the company it contracted to operate the ride from 2015 to 2019.
It's essentially brand new, and then on top of being brand new mechanically, it's been brought up to date to be brand new with its technology.
Records show Expo Square spent $6,200 for signs on the Skyride station before the 2019 fair, the last time the ride operated. Expo Square officials told me they removed those signs shortly after the 2019 fair.
For 11 days, and then they're done?
Expo Square's COO told me in order for the machine to be operable, it must go through continuous, costly maintenance and repair on an annual basis. There are guaranteed annual expenses that are ongoing. But according to those financial records, only a little less than $60,000 of that nearly $1.8 million the county spent over the years actually went toward things labeled specifically as maintenance and repair.
Transparency is incredibly important right now.
Now, looking at those financials, there's still a lot of questions that come to mind. I wanted to sit down with Expo Square officials to help get things cleared up. They denied my request for an on-camera interview. Of course, I will still follow up and won't stop until we get those answers. Reporting in Tulsa, covering news that matters, Spencer Humphrey, Fox 23 News.
Now to a Fox 23 investigation. We told you about some Tulsa taxpayers feeling frustrated after county-owned Expo Square announced it would be tearing down its historic Skyride.
In a Fox 23 exclusive, Spencer Humphrey uncovered public records that indicate Expo Square officials had their minds made up about this demolition several years ago, but didn't announce it publicly until he started asking questions.
I told you in May that Tulsa County taxpayers like Scotty Martin are fed up.
It makes my blood boil.
Fed up that Expo Square plans to tear down the historic Skyride.
That's unbelievable that you're just going to give up on it.
And fed up that financial records I uncovered show Expo Square had recently spent nearly $2 million in tax dollars modernizing the ride.
It's essentially brand new.
Most of all, he's upset because he thinks Expo Square had no plans to tell taxpayers what had already been decided until I started asking questions. On May 12th, I saw an online post claiming the Skyride was in danger of being torn down. So Fox 23 reached out to Expo Square Chief Operating Officer and spokesperson Amanda Blair that afternoon to see if it was true. The next morning, Blair sent Fox 23 this statement that says the Skyride will no longer operate and Expo Square has pursued demo preparations in 2022. It adds the ride will be put for sale at the county surplus auction. The statement says that in 2015, Expo Square contracted a company, DMC Tulsa, to operate the ride. But after the 2019 fair, DMC officially terminated the agreement due to lack of revenue produced. A clause in that agreement allowed DMC or the county to back out of the contract if the ride was no longer economically viable. Taxpayers like Scotty wanted to know when the decision was made to tear down the Skyride and who made it.
Transparency is incredibly important right now.
So I started doing some digging through public records to see if it had been discussed in any public meetings. The Tulsa County Public Facilities Authority oversees Expo Square. County commissioners are on the authority, but I hit a roadblock. Expo Square posts meeting minutes to its website, or at least it used to. It stopped doing that after February 2021. So I requested minutes and emails about the Skyride. In this April 2021 email from Expo Square's CEO Mark Andrus to then County Commissioner Ron Peters, the CEO lists Skyride removal on a list of 20-plus projects. To find out more details, I asked all of the public officials involved for an on-camera interview. Blair was the only one who agreed. She said they've been talking about what to do with the Skyride since 2019. Many people assumed it would run at the 2021 fair, but it didn't. Were there plans to demolish it before that 2021 fair?
There's always conversation, absolutely. You know, we have costs that are associated with the demolition as well. So, you know, it's not something that is easily taken down.
Emails show after DMC backed out of its agreement, then Commissioner Peters expressed confusion, even though he signed it. He told Andrus, "I thought we sold it to him." Peters was talking about DMC's owner. In a response, Andrus told Peters they would have the first meeting the next Friday to discuss options.
I can't speak for any of the commissioners. TCPFA management did do the proper things and presented the contract to the board.
I told you in May, financial records show Expo Square spent public money to remove signs from the Skyride buildings after the 2019 fair. Signs just put up a year earlier. Do you think that's a good use of public money?
And so it is funds that were utilized. However, we do still have the signs, but you're going to have to, on an annual basis, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure that the grips are X-rayed. We don't want to continue spending money whenever it's losing money.
Records also show that in August 2021, Expo Square asked the county for $300,000 in American Rescue Plan funds for the demolition. But Blair says, as far as she knows, the county didn't give Expo money for that specifically. Do you think demolition of a ride is an appropriate use of pandemic recovery funds?
Again, that's not my decision. I think there's qualifications. We just have the list prepared.
In the hours after I first asked questions about the ride, I see a series of emails sent about the Skyride. Then Tulsa County spokesperson Gerald Wade emailed commissioners that he would be coordinating with Mark Andrus and his team and meeting with them tomorrow morning to learn where this came from. Then Wade wrote he would tell news media that to his knowledge, there has been no recent decision by the Tulsa County Commissioners and the TCPFA in regard to the Skyride. The next morning, Wade emailed, "The plan going forward is to offer the Skyride for sale. A sale has a potential to save Expo money and preserve the ride. A win-win. If no bids come in, Expo should be able to keep their previous schedule." I asked Blair what she thought Wade meant by previous schedule.
The Skyride demolition has been on our list since 2019.
When did the aspect of auctioning it come about?
I'm not certain when it specifically came about.
I asked why the public wasn't notified about the plans about the Skyride until now.
So it's definitely not something that was not talked about publicly. It's been discussed in public meetings as well.
I looked through meeting minutes and records, but couldn't find any mention of the plan to demolish or auction off the ride. How come it took until media started asking questions for that to happen?
I don't have a specific answer for that.
I asked her, when will the ride go up for public auction? She says she's not sure yet, but will let me know. I also asked her, was there ever any consideration for historical protection for the ride? She says no. I also asked her, well, what happens if nobody bids on it at public auction? She says even if no one bids on it, they have no intentions of operating it at this fall's fair. Of course, I will continue to follow this story and keep you updated. Reporting in Tulsa, covering news that matters, Spencer Humphrey, Fox 20.